Hey there guys, I am here to do an unboxing slash review of the all-in-one modular art box by Krydrufi. I hope I've pronounced that right. Krydrufi. It is, as it shows, I wouldn't say a painting station, but it is a wet palette or a painting system, brush cleaning system. So we'll have a look at what we get inside. I am going to do this review now and a follow-up review in about 2 to 3 weeks once I've had a bit to use it, to give some sort of deeper thoughts on it. But we'll have a look now at what we get in the system and I will go through my initial thoughts. So first of all, we get 2 pots. Now I will say that when I contacted them, they have sent me this for free, by the way guys, to do a review for you. When I reached out to them, I forgot to specify which one I wanted, because they do a couple of variations. They do the standard and the ultra. This is the ultra. I did ask them for the standard. I didn't want to be greedy, but they were kind enough to send me the ultra. But I didn't specify that I wanted the wet palette only kit. So I've got the one that is designed for painters of all types, traditional oil painters, acrylic, watercolor, as well as you can use this for miniature painting as well. So it's, you know, it's still going to be useful to me as I do oil painting and miniature painting, as you obviously know. The only difference between the wet palette only kit and the sort of the standard and ultra box is the standard comes with 2 wet palettes and in the wet palette kit, and the ultra wet palette only kit comes with 4 wet palettes. In the non-wet palette version, so their traditional version, you get 2 paint wells that you squirt your paint into, and it keeps it wet in there, so it keeps it usable. A wet palette and I think a second wet palette, so I think 2 wet palettes, or a dry palette and a wet palette, however you want to use it. But anyway, we'll have a look and I'll explain it in more detail as we go. So first of all, these are your water cups, and inside you get 2 silicone mats. These have this sort of this ribbed texture on it, so that you can get the paint out your bristles, and they just sit down in the bottom there. They have this slot on the side because when they go into the unit there, you can see that makes up the carry handle. On the inside you get 4 of these brush holders. Now you get 2 like this and 2 with this little well in the bottom, and this is designed to go on the outside of the system, so that when you store your brushes, obviously it's better to store your brushes this way, and if there is any water or anything in the bristles, that will just drip off and land in here instead of going into the furrow. If there's paint in the water and that gets into the furrow, you may have heard that it can dry up in there and cause your hairs to split apart, and that's typically why you'll lose the point on your brushes, is because in the furrow the hairs have gone from this to this, and so the point goes from this to this. So yeah, store them upside down, and obviously this has that perfect. You can keep the put the cap on afterwards if you want. The other one here obviously clips into the water pot, and if you want to keep your brushes damp for whatever reason, obviously this would be more for traditional painters, but as miniature painters we can use it as well. If you've got, say, a cleaning solution in one and you've got some particularly dirty brushes and then your water in the other, you can leave that in there in the cleaning solution to soak into the bristles to really get that paint loose and then clean it better. So you get 2 pots there, and they do come out, and obviously you can do whatever you want in there. You could take one out and have this for loose storage, one as a water pot. The only thing I would say about this, and Krydrufi, if you guys see this, maybe if you do a version 2.0, I would prefer, this is my personal thoughts on this, the handle part to be higher so you're carrying above the water pots, the water pots to not have this hole in, but instead have an airtight or watertight lid similar to these pots. And you can see this one, this is what I use as my water pot. It has a 3D printed equivalent to the silicone thing in the bottom. I've super glued it in there, but this has obviously this silicone ring around it, and it allows me, I do need to change this water, but it allows me to reuse the water a little bit more than normal. That idea would especially work for oil painters where we use solvents. So we can keep a solvent in the pot, as long as obviously the pot's made to be solvent resistant. We can keep the solvent in there because the paint in oil paint sets to the bottom and the solvent is usable for pretty much months. I've got a jar of it that is almost a year old now, and I'm still using the same solvent to clean my oil brushes. This one does actually fit in there, so I may end up doing something similar to that, or see if I can find a square one of the same dimensions and use that myself. But yeah, that would have been cool to have seen lids on here. So if you do a version 2, throw some ceiling lids on and have the handle above. I'm sure people won't mind having the handle above if it means that they get to travel around with these. They obviously are designed for traveling, hence the carry handle. So if you can travel and not have to worry about there being water or solvents at your destination because you've already got them in here, it's, you know, problem solved. So on the side there are these clips. The first ones are relatively easy to pop, and the next 4 layers, like I say, if you order the standard you'll get 2 layers only. If you order the ultra you get 4. If you order the standard wet palette version, which is designed for miniature painters, you'll get 2 wet palettes, which I'll show you in a minute. And if you order the ultra wet palette version you get 4 wet palettes. So the second lot of clips, I've noticed they are loosening up a little bit, but they are stiff when you first start. So what I've been doing is loosening one side and then sort of unclipping it this way rather than trying to pop both clips. It's a little bit hard to get between these gaps to pop the clips. Again, that's just another early observation for me. So I believe this is the wet palette one. Now the instructions aren't super clear. I will have another sort of read through them. So this is the art box. You can use this as storage. So we've got some clothes and stuff there. You can use this as storage for brushes if they fit. I'm not sure if they fit, I haven't tried it. Brushes, tools, anything like that that will fit in there. And then I believe your wet palette goes in the top here. And you can also use if you're an oil painter, they do a dry palette sheets as well, which is the wax coated stuff, so that the oil doesn't absorb into the paper. So there is that as well. We'll have a look at that in a minute because you do get those in this kit. Next down, and this is specific to the I can get this off. Oh no, we need to do the one below it. This is specific to the what I call the traditional standard and ultra version, where you get a paint well. So obviously you would squirt your paints into here, and then as long as it's obviously flat, once you put the cap on, that keeps them dry. I'm not sure how long it's expected to, but it seems pretty airtight, so to me that will keep it dry for quite a while. Now if you buy the wet palette version, you don't get this in there. You'll get a wet palette instead of this. I'm not sure what the tabs are for. Another thing I would like to see them have done for the miniature painters is, instead of these, to do wells. You know, like you buy them usually from like cheap dollar store, Poundland. You get the round circular thing and you get the little dimples in it, like a dimple well. But yeah, a bunch of them on here. You probably fit about 15 on here. Would have been great for when we use shades and contrast paints, things like that. We can drop them in, you know, a few drops and use it from that. We can mix into them then. That would be cool. You could probably do it in here as well, but with these tabs in the way, and I don't know why this one's bigger, but I'm assuming like if you're using black and white, you tend to have more of that on the palette. So that's for those. But yeah, so traditional painters, this one's more for you. But yeah, I would like to have seen a well version for miniature painters. So the next one down, if we can pop this one off. So these clips, they have been loosening a little bit. This is probably the 4th time I've done this now. Again, storage and wet palette. So this storage, I think it's exactly the same. I can't remember if the other one has these bits. I'm assuming it does because that's where the clips go in. So yeah, a second wet palette, but you can also just put the sheet of wax paper on here if you're a traditional painter. Or if you're a miniature painter and you're using oil paints, then you would use a wax palette as well anyway. So you put your wax paper on here, and that's what that's for. So 2 wet palettes or a wet and dry palette. And then again, another paint well or a paint storage. So again, this would be a wet palette as well if you buy the wet palette only version. And again, I think that 3 wet palettes and a well section, you know, the dimples, would be brilliant for miniature painters. So Krydrufi version 2, throw in a dimple section and throw in the sealable lids. So that's what you get in the box. The prices for these I will quickly grab up. So the prices for, at the minute, they actually have a discount on the website. I'll put a link down in the description. And TikTok, I don't think they allow me the links, but if you go to Krydrufi's website, then obviously you'll find it there. They've got a 29% discount at the minute on the Ultra boxes, both the wet palette and the traditional one, so this one, and 22% off on the standard one, which comes with 2 of the compartments instead of 4. Prices in British pounds are around £27.57 for the standard in both the traditional or the wet palette only versions. That's with the discount. Typically, normally they are £35.50, so £27.57 with the discount. And for the Ultra box, which is the 4 wet palettes, if you order the wet palette only kit, and what I've literally just shown you if you order the traditional one. So make sure you order the right one. If you're a miniature painter, you're going to want the wet palette one. But that is £36.25 discounted from £51.27. And on their site, they also sell a cleaning brush module. I'm not entirely, I think that is literally the top part. Oh, there you go. It all goes. That's the part with the 2 the rinsing cups, and 1 wet palette in that, and that is £15.74 down from £19.72. So it's only £20 for that one. It's not bad at all for the wet palette, single wet palette. And then they do, you know, mixing modules, all the various modules and compartments. They also do the paper and for the sponges, which I'll show you in a second. Typically, normally £18.93, but discounted to £15.70 at the minute. And they also do the 4-in-1 mixing paper as well, and then a bunch of the other little bits. Looking at the papers, so again, this is what you get if you buy the traditional painter's version. If you buy the wet palette version, you get it slightly different. So I'll have a look now on what you get with the wet palette one. So the Ultra wet palette kit, you get 4 of the wet palette things. You get 50 papers and 2 sponges. And the papers, so you've got the miniature special mixing paper, which is your standard wet palette paper. So I'm assuming there are 25 sheets in here, because in the traditional one you also get 10 sheets of the the wax paper, and you get 2 sponges. If you buy the standard version, so the one that only comes with 2 compartments, you'll get 1 sponge and the special mixing paper. And if you're buying the paint version or the traditional version, I believe you get, let's have a look, you get 1 of these, 20 papers in here, so it might only be 20 papers in here. I'll have to have a look. And 2 sponges. So if that's the case, 20, you'll probably get 5 of these then. If no, sorry. How would they work that out? Maybe it's just a bigger pack of 50. But yeah, you'll get 50 of these in the wet palette version. So yeah, these are the papers and these are the sponges that you get with this set, and then slightly different, but you can check it all out on the website anyway. And they also do these in a variety of colours. This is the green and sand. They do blue and black, green and black, blue and sand, and this one, the green and sand. And again, you get to choose all that. They do ship from China, but this was probably the fastest shipping I've ever experienced. I contacted them on the weekend. They got back to me on the Monday and saying yes, they would love to send me one. And they contacted me Tuesday saying that it had already been shipped, and today is Friday, it's turned up. So 4 or 5 days and it's here. Obviously, I can't say for sure what it will be if you order directly from their site. But yeah, and obviously depending where you live. But I have to say that was impressive shipping. So yeah, that's the review, guys. I will make a follow-up after about 2 to 3 weeks using it to see how I get on with it all. But if it's something that you would like, then go check out their website. And I believe in the States they actually they're selling on Amazon now as well, so you can buy on Amazon in the States. In the UK they don't, but there may be some other stores that you can buy for, but otherwise go direct to them. So yeah, links down in the comments and whatever. Let me know down in the comments if you're planning on getting one of these, what you think. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.